Hello, hi. Thanks for dropping by to listen in on another segment of Chats with Cath. With me, Cath. If topics on adulting and lifestyle interest you, welcome. I release weekly episodes every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central African Time. My episodes will be a mix between solo dialogues or interviews with guests. So drop by and have a chat. Hello again. Welcome back, you guys. Today's episode, let's unpack what it means to be a good human. Just a disclaimer, I mean no offense with today's topic, and hopefully we can have a meaningful debate or discussion on what it means to be a good human. I'm doing air quotes, by the way. So to begin, let's start with something that's tough to hear, but it's also true. What we are taught from an early age is super essential in terms of helping us develop and grow as the people we aim to become. And usually having parents, guardians, or adults that are adultly adult who are there to help nurture your growth and nourish you emotionally, spiritually, etc., just so that you can develop into being the person you want to be one day. And why I say that being taught what to do at an early age is because children are vulnerable and impressionable. And the people that they surround themselves with or are in fact exposed to by the adults in their lives, they would influence the type of behaviors that they have in the future. For example, if you have people who are teaching you bad habits, that in turn affects you as a person because you would adopt those attitudes and behaviors and in turn present that to society as an adult. And that might not be a necessarily good thing because if you're being taught bad things, you think what you're doing is right, and then when you find out that it was wrong or if it was not exactly appropriate, you end up being confused, and in turn you might lash out or shut yourself off from people, or hopefully this is not you, or you go off to commit like heinous crimes in the future. So I do believe that what we're taught from an early age impacts the type of people we aim to become in the future. So let's go into discussions of behaviors and attitudes we're taught at an early age, and how do you distinguish what is good or bad? Well, because we grew up in a society where good behavior and bad behavior is always ranked and rated, it is quite interesting to see what you discover as an adult as to what you were taught in your early stages, impressionable stages, what is good or bad. And you have your schools who teach you, you have your parents or your guardians or whoever's looking after you at the young age teaching you, and you also have adults in other settings, for example, aunts and uncles, teachers, or even family friends who are there to interact with you and teach you new things. So those instances or those scenarios are a good example of where people get their foundation in terms of behaving well and behaving badly. And I think this is a very tricky topic to discuss, but I do think we should be able to have open communication about it, because a lot of people, in my experience, do behave badly and are not corrected. They just continue as they are because the people or the adults in their lives who help nurture them to where they are right now perhaps never thought anything wrong with it because they behave that way, or they just decided not to pursue ways to like assist and help a person grow in that respect so that they are good people. And then to establish good behavior, well, if people have a positive reaction towards you, if people have a positive reaction towards you, you can distinguish that, you have treated them well in some respect. Whereas if they respond badly to you based on how you treat them, on your behavior, etc., then that in turn also affects like how they respond to you. They might be indifferent, they might be rude to you, or they might even just dismiss you, which is not a nice feeling. So discussing these things in an open forum in a healthy way, I think is quite essential, because not everybody might think what they're doing is bad, or not everyone might be thinking what you think is good is necessarily a good thing. And I'm not trying to open the floodgates of hell here, but do unto others what you want done unto you, because you definitely reap what you sow. And you would want to have a happy, positive outlook on life and be a wholesome person where you do the most for yourself, but also knowing that like you're not a crap person who is just out there being an enemy of progress and an emotional delinquent or a terrorist out there in the streets. So a lot of people, or the environment that I've been surrounded in, or the people I've been surrounded with in my environment, always emphasize, don't be cuck, be lekker. And that's a South African term that is used quite a lot in the settings that I'm in, where people encourage people, behave like in an appropriate way, where you want to be treated well, because in turn you will be treated well as well, based on how you treat others well. Manners matter. I know it sounds so strange, but honestly, guys, from what I have experienced, whether I'm dealing with family, whether I'm in a professional setting, or if I'm interacting with people outside, friends, colleagues, etc., manners do matter, and they do go a long way. And when I mean manners, I mean simple things, and I consider them simple. However, some people might not consider it so, but it is quite simple. Greeting people. Just say hello. Sometimes it's just, quite nice just to acknowledge a person's existence by saying hello, or how are you doing? You don't have to go into like a long-winded chit-chat series. You can just greet a person, inquire how they are, and then say what you need to say. And then once closing, you can say goodbye, see you soon, or chat some other time. Just this I consider simple, because it is a stepping stone to determine like how well a conversation will unfold based on your treatment of the situation. So to give you an example, this goes both ways, whether you're speaking to someone face to face, or if you're speaking to them via email, or if you're one of those people who still write letters and post it. Good on you. Haven't done that in a good 15 years, but that's also one way to communicate. Telephonically, on Teams, or on Google Hangouts, however you interact or communicate with the people that you want to interact with, manners do matter. Because if you are going to greet someone aggressively and just go into a whole tangent of like what you need or what you want to say, that person might not receive you the way you are expecting them to receive. And the response that they give you might not be the response you want in turn. For example, or let me give you a scenario. For example, if you are Paul and John, and Paul wants to speak to John about coming over to his home so that he can have a hangout session with him and converse with him because they're friends. Paul would probably reach out to John and say, hello, how are you doing? I was thinking that we should, connect together. Perhaps I come to your house so that I can spend some time with you and interact with you on a friendly level. So initially, Paul would be feeling, oh, this is very nice. Paul is thinking of me and wants to spend some time with me, and, we can hang out. And their response will probably be either positive, in the sense that if they do have the time to spend time with John, they would say, hey, that sounds amazing, and thank you for inquiring. I hope you are well too. Is everything fine with you? And yes, please do come over and spend some time. Or if they're unable, he would probably say, hey, I'm not available on the Saturday, but I am available on the Sunday. Would that work for you? And then we can, spend some time together. So that communication was reasonable and positive. Whereas if John just showed up at Paul's door unannounced and was just like, listen, this is what's going on. I need this. Are you able to talk me through this, and I need this. Can you give me this? The reaction from Paul might not be a very positive one. It might go into negative territory where Paul would be like, first of all, you show up at my house unannounced. And secondly, you're asking of all these things, but you have taken no consideration to me as a human. Meanwhile, you need something from me. You need my time, my attention, and whatever else that John might need. So in that instance, manners do matter, because at the end, the result that you want from the communication that you're basing with the person determines on how you treat them, because you reap what you sow. What you want to get out, you must put in as well. Then going into first impressions, a lot of people might think first impressions do not count. However, with the society that we currently live in, they kind of do. If you set a bad impression, people tend to ghost you, ice you out, or just treat you badly based on their interaction with you. So if you're rude to them, or if you are completely uncouth, or if you're unprepared, most cases, it never ends well for a respective person. So I do think it is quite important for people to take it seriously when they interact with people for the first time, or if they're meeting people for the first time. This is important in interviews. So it's always good to prepare yourself if you're going to go into an interview and interact with the interviewee, because they would want to make sure that if you're going to be joining the organization, company, whatever, you are capable and you have done your groundwork to ensure that you're prepared. And as compared to you just show up there all entitled and thinking that you deserve this and they should hire you anyway. Listen, it's very rare, very rare where anyone is hired based on that. So those are some things to consider when you're making a first impression. Now going into what does it mean to be a good human? I guess we should just unpack what a human is. A human is pretty much a person, and if you want me to go into the scientific term, please don't make me, because I'm not a scientist or a biologist, so I would probably not give the correct terminology. However, I consider a human a person being, whatever sex you are, or if you do not want to identify, you do not have to. That is pretty much what I interpret a human to be. And being human is being able to communicate, because we are a social species. We like to be in groups of people and interact with others. However, we do have introvert and extrovert people, extroverted people are the ones who always want to be around people or in a social setting where they're able to connect, communicate with people quite regularly, whereas introverts, that might not be their cup of tea. However, they are capable of being alone for long periods of time and are quite intuitive in being able to connect with people more on a deeper level, based on like them, kind of watching in the background and then interacting with people once they feel more comfortable. But like I wouldn't say introverts are meant to be alone all the time. No, but I'm just saying they probably prefer small settings and smaller crowds. So to be human is being able to feel, to think, to act, to build, to engage, all these things. And based on that, it goes into behaviors, into mannerisms, into cultures, into society norms, into society influences. All these things are combined that affect you and impact you when you're young or when you're a child, that build you into the adult that can function in society, pretty much. Let's talk about empathy real quick. Is empathy important? I think empathy is a very underrated social skill. I say social skill because to be empathetic is tied to emotion, because you'd be able to connect with the person emotionally and then understand the pain that they feel without you having to do anything or give them advice on what they need to do. It is just being able to connect and understand a person on that level, and they can feel and see that you hear them, you support them, and you're able to give advice if they ask you to. Guys, important, if people ask you for advice, give it. If it's not asked for, please keep your peace and keep things to yourself. And yeah, so empathy is important and a very underrated skill, because not many people are able to be empathetic. I wouldn't say they're not able to feel empathy, but I do think it is a difficult skill because our society has always governed that showing emotion is a sign of weakness, and that if you are continuously showing emotion, you are not capable of doing other things in society where it's highlighted as strength, which is quite bizarre. I mean, if you bottle up your emotions, eventually they will blow up in people's faces, in your face, and then it'll just be a tsunami of all the things that you have felt, combined with rage and resentment, etc., which is not a good thing. So it is quite important to, really explore your ability to be empathetic, because it can be very good to perceive yourself as a person who does take the thoughts and their actions based on the considerations based on other people. And I'm not saying that that's how everybody needs to be, but I am saying that it can be a powerful skill if you're able to relate to people, because then you'd be able to engage and connect with them and probably move forward if you're trying to move forward or try to help a person, because then they can see that they have your support in order for them to really open up a bit more so that they can engage or interact with you or move forward based on what you guys are trying to do. So empathy, very important skill. Then there is charity. I have two versions of charity, or two variations of how I see charity. I see charity based on the time a person gives, and then based on the monetary aspect of it as well. So I'll start with the monetary one, because I don't want to anger the world and the masses, but I will just be brief and clear in terms of how I perceive this. In terms of charity in a monetary sense, I do see the value in people, giving what they can to causes or to situations where they are intentionally trying to do the best they can to help others. However, this could be a good or a bad thing, depending on your motives. And what I mean by that is that if you are giving money or anything materialistic to a charity or to help someone in a charitable way, and your intentions do count in that sense, because then you could be doing it just to be good from the goodness of your heart without wanting anything in return, And then you get the peeps who do it to get brownie points. I was like, look, I gave money to this charity. Look, I helped the SPCA. Look, I helped this charity to help children who are starving. And it's like, why are you telling me this? It's different if you're advertising charity or trying to get more supporters for the charity, just so that you can get more people and more eyeballs on it, so that people can help more. You can get more people to help. Whereas just to get brownie points and a gold star for the fact that you help people. And for me, that goes back to the whole empathy thing. It's like, how are you helping people? Are you helping people for the benefits of just trying to be a good person, or are you helping people to pretend to perceive yourself as a good person? Something to think about, yeah? And then there is the second phase of charity, which I think of as in giving your time. And with that can also be good or bad. So I'll start with the bad part of that charity. Giving your time and expecting something in return, I don't think it's charitable. Because then you're just doing something for the sake of getting something back. Then that's not charity, that's a job. Then charity in the good sense, where you're giving up your time because you genuinely want to help people. It's like volunteering, whatever you're volunteering for. Or just like doing something nice for someone and not asking or expecting anything in return. For me, that is charitable time, and that's how I perceive it. Take it with a grain of salt. Take it with you if you want to. Leave it, ignore me, it doesn't matter. But it is something to really unpack and think about in terms of your intentions when you are trying to be empathetic and charitable. Right. I'm going to talk about boundaries again, you guys. I keep going into boundaries. You reap what you sow. Whatever you put in is what you'll get out. Whatever you get out, hopefully you put back in. Because you need to make sure that you're comfortable with your environment and you as a person. Because then that will determine whatever you put out there. And if you are not in a good space and your glass is empty and you're just feeling some kind of way, it's usually best to work on you and give the tender love and care that you're expecting others to give to you, because the only person who can give you all those things is you, right? And which is why boundaries are important, because then you can set them so that people understand how they can interact and treat you. Because if you allow people to treat you badly, they will treat you badly. But if you are firm in your choice, if you're firm in your stance and in your beliefs, that you want to be treated well and in a certain way, you need to communicate that in a healthy way, not in a malicious way, guys. I'm not saying that. I'm saying communication is key. And if you are comfortable with how people treat you, that's wonderful. But you need to be comfortable, because you shouldn't be put in a position where you feel uncomfortable, unsafe, and threatened. So boundaries are hella important and crucial. And then to end off, you guys, do unto others what you want done to you. And what I mean by that is pretty much what I said at the beginning of the episode. What you reap what you sow. What you put in is what you get out. What you get out, hopefully you can put back in. If you're treated well, hey, it's easy to treat others well. If you're treated badly, again, I'm not saying going out there and burning cars and cutting tires. I'm saying treat others the way you want to be treated. If people mistreat you, you can distance yourself from them and then set your boundaries and let them know and communicate how you want to be treated, because they should not feel that they have the right to treat you badly. I'm going to quote Eleanor Roosevelt, where she said, nobody can make you feel inferior unless you consent to it. And that is very powerful, you guys. You should never let others make you feel like some kind of way, because you're giving them the power to dictate how you should be and who you are as a person. And that is not it. You are the person with all the power. You're the main character in your own life. You need to dictate and set your boundaries as to how people should treat you, which also goes in turn with your version of what a good human is and how you are perceiving yourself as a good human or a bad human. Hey man, we have both. I mean, this is planet Earth at the end of the day, and we need to be realistic with what is out there already. So give that a think. Think about all these things, because I do think it is important. And let's have a discussion about it. Head over to my YouTube channel. I do engage and respond to comments. We can have a chat about it. We can go onto my Instagram and we can continue this conversation there and have a chat about it as well. Or you can even reach out to me on my email and just drop me an essay, a paragraph, if you want to continue the conversation, for chatswithcath@gmail.com. And yeah, just think about it, guys. What does it mean to you to be a good human? And do you want to be a good human? Because I'm not saying that everybody wants to be a good human. It's all a choice thing. And it's all has to do with what you put in is what you will get out in turn. With that being said, you guys, go with God and see you soon in the next episode. Ciao!